Okay, so hiya, I'm Sam, aka Menig, or at least that's kind of, yeah, so that's the name of my solo project, as I'm kind of calling it. So it's kind of, it currently exists as a, pretty much, well, it is exclusively a studio project. I have a decent amount of original music that I feel is worthy of performing, and essentially I want to use this module to configure a live setup, and ultimately in the long term I want to translate Menig to a live environment in a way that's meaningful for the audience, or at least anyone watching it. But for this project I really just want to take the first step on that journey. I want to get to the end where I can perform a set as Menig. It's not going to be the fully polished thing yet. That'll come in, the following months and such. But yeah, no, this is literally just configuring the technical side, in terms of, and finding a set list and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and just the first initial baby. Well, I wouldn't want to say baby steps because I'll be, doing quite a lot. The first initial steps towards making something out of Menig, or as it currently exists, and translating that into the studio environment. So Menig, spelt Menig, is just me. It's no other band members, or at least not at this current stage. But for this project, it will just be me, which makes it a lot easier in terms of kind of band meetings and such, obviously. So yeah, in terms, I'm kind of just gonna draft up right now what my initial plan is in terms of setup wise. So this is gonna be a stage map, kind of just aerially. It's gonna be myself operating my computer, which is this, and then using two different MIDI keyboards. Now those keyboards are going to be mapped into the computer. Oh, and a mic, a mic as well. So I'll put the mic here just for sake, but it'll probably be here in reality. But just the mic's there anyway. So essentially, there's going to be two outputs for the sound engineer. One from my microphone and the other from my computer. And now I use Logic to make all my music, and then I have all of these the songs then as Logic projects, and so that is how I plan to perform them live. I'm going to create alternative versions of these projects, map in each different MIDI keyboard to different instruments. Now across my tracks there's two generally consistent sounds. There's a keys sound and a bass sound. They alter a bit track to track, but essentially they're there in most of them. Now one's going to be mapped to those keys and one's going to be mapped to this bass. I'm only ever going to play one at a time, but I'll play and I'll sing essentially. So I'll create versions of those projects, those songs, mix everything down bar for the keys and the bass, and also the vocals. I might experiment with taking them all out in places or just bringing them down. I mean, in some sections there's harmonies, so I'll leave the harmonies in. That's something I'll experiment with in terms of vocals. But so yeah, it's gonna be a weird one. I'm gonna have to see if that sounds good. And I mean, that's what I want to do initially. That's how I want to just, if I can configure that, that's amazing. I need to have in-ears as well. So I'm gonna have to find a way of having a left send, a right send, and also an in-ear send as well, which might actually take a bit of configuring, although Tim seems pretty confident that we're going to be able to figure it out. If that is the case, I'm immensely happy, because that's something I don't currently know how I'd do. I mean, I could experiment with some additional stage dressing, so some props. I had a very cool idea of using some old telephone box, potentially with some lights in and other stuff. I'm kind of probably going to talk, I'll talk about it now. Menig as a project exists primarily at its heart. It's a coming of age story, then told through the mediums of music and film. So, I've created a series of short films for each music release, and stuff like that. But I want that to translate seamlessly across into the live environment, which is going to be a bit difficult. In terms of how do I do that and how do I expand that storytelling. But stage dressing or props and use of props or scenery would be one way to do that. So it's not a make or break of the project, and it's definitely not one of my key aims, but it will be going forward if it isn't in this one. But implement it, to try and in any ways I can, to yeah, translate that kind of coming of age story and the overall narrative into this would be ideal. It's kind of set in a 2000s UK nostalgia drenched kind of teenage depiction of Britain. Uh, and yeah, that's kind of, yeah, so an old phone box would very much tie into that, or some other things. Like, I'm not sure currently, not sure, but it'll definitely be in consideration in terms of my outfit, but that as well is something to consider. So I'd say there's two main sides to this project. If I go over, there's two main sides to it. You have the technical, so there's three: technical, the performance. Oh god, you know what? I use blue. Sorry. Technical, the performance, and then the third. I know I said there was two. There's three. The thematic. So technical. This is essentially find a way to use Logic Live in terms of using the click tracks, then also mapping in each individual MIDI instrument. The performance is actually the singing. I don't have very much. I have a very little experience singing in front of a real crowd, so it's going to be quite a big step for me. Something I'm kind of nervous to do and have been for a while. It's kind of always been in the back of my mind, but I really want to do it well, you know. So that's definitely, so vocal, and to a certain extent, you know, the keys, vocal keys. So that's going to take some practicing and some consideration in terms of maybe looking at vocal techniques or ways I can improve my vocal, improve my production, or perhaps mic technique. So vocal, I'm just going to apply mic technique. Okay, then thematic. This is going to be underpinning the whole thing. Maybe not these two actually. That well works as three different aspects, you know. So I'm going to uncircle this. Apologies, uncircle it now, and say essentially this will then translate into, for example, the graphic that I'll display behind me. Graphics, outfit, props. And essentially, I think that these are the main three pillars that I need to be focusing on in this project. And yeah, this has given me a good. This has really helped me to a certain extent think about what I want to do and how I'm going to write my proposal. But I'm going to definitely bear these three main aims in mind. Yeah.